So let's talk about why Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito should be the subject of both a perjury investigation and an impeachment inquiry. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So I want to drill down on why it is that Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito should absolutely be the subject of both a perjury investigation and an impeachment inquiry. And I'm going to try to be as brief and as concise and as targeted as I can be in this video. At his confirmation hearing, under oath, when asked about the Supreme Court precedent of Roe versus Wade, that is, the Supreme Court case recognizing a woman's constitutional privacy right to make decisions about the course of her own pregnancy, then Judge Samuel Alito said, Roe versus Wade is important precedent of the Supreme Court, among other things. So when he gave that answer under oath, he was communicating that Roe versus Wade is important precedent of the Supreme Court. In other words, it's just fine by me. I have no concern about the continued viability of Roe versus Wade. That was the message he was sending in his confirmation hearing testimony. What did he then write in his recent draft opinion revoking a woman's constitutional privacy rights, overruling Roe versus Wade? Here is some of what Samuel Alito wrote. Roe represented an abuse of judicial authority. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start, and Roe must be overruled. And that is the exact opposite of what Samuel Alito testified to in his confirmation hearing, when he looked those senators in the eye and he said Roe versus Wade is important Supreme Court precedent. He was signaling that he has no concern about the continued viability of Roe versus Wade, and he lied. And frankly, old Sammy the Bull Alito is not as smart as he thinks he is, because he could have written in his draft opinion that I've had a recent revelation. I've had an epiphany. My thinking has changed over time. But he didn't say that. No. While he was sitting there at his confirmation hearing, testifying that there was no concern about Roe versus Wade, what he was thinking in his mind, in his heart, to the extent he has one, was that Roe is an abuse of judicial authority. Roe is egregiously wrong, and it has been right from the start, and that Roe must be overruled. And about all of that, he lied under oath. And that's why Alito needs to be investigated for perjury and possibly other crimes like, I don't know, conspiracy to deprive Americans of their constitutional and civil rights. And that's why Samuel Alito ought to be the subject of an impeachment inquiry by Congress. You know, friends, we've been feeding the monster for too long by abandoning the rule of law. It's time to start fighting the monster. It's time to start starving the monster by asserting the rule of law. I mean, is DOJ, is the FBI, is the Biden administration really going to let Sammy the Bull Alito get away with lying to the American people during his confirmation hearing, letting them think all good with Roe v. Wade, only waiting to get to a place where he could deprive people of their constitutional rights. Is Joe Biden's administration going to let him get away with that? Are we going to keep feeding the monster? Is Congress going to just look the other way? Are they not going to open an impeachment inquiry, public hearings on whether Samuel Alito has disqualified himself from continued service on the Supreme Court? Or is Congress just going to look the other way? Are we going to keep feeding the monster, or are we going to fight the monster? Are we going to starve the monster by asserting the rule of law? We better start fighting the monster. Our executive branch through the Department of Justice, the FBI, our legislative branch through Congress, better start fighting the monster by asserting the rule of law. Because as of right now, it sure looks like there is a handful of Supreme Court justices who believe they have the right to force a woman to carry a pregnancy to term against her will and against her consent. And we're going to let that stand? Oh, hell no. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with y'all again tomorrow.